The more worlds we travel to, the more questions I have. It's not just the hardships of the people, but something more. You are right, but there is something more at work here. Yes, these dead worlds, they have a pattern to them. They were all touched by the Mandalorian Wars and the Jedi Civil War. But sometimes, well, I feel as if they are all connected in some other way. The attacks on KotOR, Telos itself, the decay on Dantooine. Something is wrong with life. The connections have been damaged, sickened. Sometimes I feel like I almost understand and then it just slips away.
So close.
No, I do not. I do think there is some greater plan at work here. Perhaps. Dantooine is only one of the worlds. It was only the start of the journey. I would like to study the other locations. It is curious that the Jedi Masters chose those worlds to travel to. I wonder if the two are linked, but I know not how. There is something I have observed, and now I feel I must say it. I have found your presence to be inspiring. With your growth in the Force, you seem to have found your center, and throughout the dangers we face, you remain calm and focused. I understand now why others followed you to war. Perhaps that is what leadership is, and it is something I have seen in only a few during my travels. In any event, it has been some time since I traveled with a Jedi, nor one so firmly upon the path. I wanted to thank you. I fear the stories that were spoken of you have misrepresented you, and if I have the opportunity, I shall reverse them whenever they arise. Very well. Then I shall keep my favorable opinions to myself. That is hardly surprising. What do you wish to know? I am an historian and scientist working for the Republic, although I'm certain my contemporaries would judge me more a historian than scientist. I have some training in the medical arts, if you are ever in need of healing as well, but my chief passion is history. I came to Dantooine in the hopes of finding some trace of the Jedi, but you know how my explorations turned out. Instead, it seems a Jedi came to me, and just in time. Yes, I have been trained by some of the best researchers in the Republic, which is a humbling experience, let me tell you. But if you ever need some medical items broken down or constructed, let me know. Yes? Is something wrong? Very well. Let me see if I can treat your wounds. There, that should do it. Do you need anything else? Are you sure you need healing? You look good to me. Yes, your muscle tone looks good. Your response time seems excellent, and I see nothing that would otherwise impair your health. You have the same vitality about you that you seem to possess no matter what the circumstances. I am surprised no one has told you the same before. It is the truth, and evident to anyone with eyes. That is hardly surprising. What do you wish to know? I am on a diplomatic mission. I am one of several tasked with attempting to contact any remaining Jedi and convince them to return to the Republic. I know something of the Jedi. I have studied them for a good portion of my life, and now that they are gone, such studies are even more important. I do not think it is a matter of luck or chance. only my own inability to find them. I'm afraid that the life of a bounty hunter is not a profession I am suited to.
You can say that again.
Regardless, my efforts turned up nothing. You have? Where have they gone? And why? Like you? Curious. It is unlike the Jedi to vanish when the Republic is in need of them, and the Republic is more in need of them now than ever. What was that? Do you know? Perhaps the Sith have learned from Malak's defeat and have chosen a different tactic. It is like them to strike from the shadows. This has Revan's mark in things. Yes, but there is much of Revan's legacy that was not undone in the Jedi Civil War. I suspect these assassins are one of them. Master Vandar spoke of these assassins in the council chambers. They were used before large assaults on planets and Jedi to weaken them. Forgive me, but there is something I must ask. In my study of the Jedi histories and the more contemporary records, I have heard tales of a Jedi who was exiled. You are that Jedi. But the records are somewhat evasive on why this was done. I wanted to discuss why you chose to leave the Jedi Order and accept exile. Perspective. Nothing more. I see. And because you went to war, they cast you out? Do you have a record of this trial? Perhaps I shall examine it when I get the chance, with your permission. I appreciate your trust. Thank you.
Has there been any word of her?
None yet. I do not understand why she displays such disobedience.
You know why. She bears the face of her mother.
Why Atris would have sent her on such a mission is something I do not understand. In terms of combat, she is the last among us. In terms of stealth, she is willful and not prone to disguise herself. Her stance, it has too much passion about it.
Perhaps that is why Atris sent her. Perhaps it is an exile of her own.
Is there? Must be hearing things, but for a moment.
Statement. Master, if you could indulge me for a moment, I must express some degree of irritation at your actions. Perhaps my anticipation of working with one who served at Malachor 5 was too high, but you are countering all those expectations. Statement. Well, all your behavior up to this point suggests either strong atonement or confirmation that the atrocities attributed to you during the war were in fact accidents. Statement. I suspected as much, Master. There are few who would discuss such things with an assassination droid, and that is perfectly understandable. I mean, what use is there for communication in a galaxy such as ours? Understanding might be achieved, or sympathies might be gained by such callous acts. You are right to remain silent about your past. I have seen the damage that repressing such things brings, and it is far preferable to share such traumas. Answer. Why, no, Master. I have no intention of attacking you or enacting assassination protocols. Answer. Why? Because your actions then and now are related, and I feel I need some context. I confess to being somewhat needy that way. Statement. Sometimes, Master, it is difficult for meatbags to step back and gain some perspective on death and its importance in their insignificant lives. Explanation. You see, Master, assassination is such a versatile tool. I have seen the removal of a single target have far-reaching consequences for a nation, world, even a galaxy. The repercussions of even the smallest lives, whether dead or alive, can have profound implications on history. But surely you realize this. Statement. Why your own life, Master? Your single life changed the face of the galaxy, of history itself. Malachor V was an impressive act of destruction, but its impact on the lives of others in the galaxy was far more extreme. I mean, Master, you brought about the death of the Mandalorian race. I doubt they realize it yet, but you dealt them a blow from which they will never recover. Retort. Oh, Master, I am attempting to justify nothing, merely making an observation. Nothing would change the fact that I derive pleasure from ending the lives of others. I was only trying to bring death and its impact to your attention. Statement. More questions. Wonderful. Statement. Master, that is a question that has an extremely complicated answer. You see, I do not believe my master knew who he was most of the time, which led to some confusing situations that could have otherwise been avoided. Verification. Suffice to say that my master had his ups and downs, and in my opinion, traveled from a high point in his life to a low point. He developed qualities such as mercy, compassion, and even love for others. It was really rather revolting. Still, my master had some remarkably efficient droid-like qualities which I admired. He, too, suffered memory problems, as I did. Statement. Oh, yes, Master. As indicated upon my reassembly, my central control cluster is damaged, making recalling my previously stored assassination protocols difficult. I hope that over time I shall eventually reach the status and skill I possessed before I was damaged. Recollection. The last thing I remember is having my core wiped from the last 5 years. I believe my master was responsible. Answer. Even with my memory impairment, I recall that my master was about to embark on a dangerous journey. Conjecture. I believe there was something about my master's destination that he did not wish me to know. Answer. I am somewhat disappointed that my master did not choose to take me along, of course. Wherever my master traveled, destruction and death were assured. Speculation, but I suspect I was not the only one left behind. So there is some satisfaction that the disrespect was spread through the rest of his whiny, simpering meatbag allies. Statement. Oh, yes. My master had quite the collection of tortured individuals that seemed unable to confront their basic personality conflicts. Let me cite some specific examples. Mockery.
Oh, Master! I do not trust you! I cannot trust you or anyone ever again!
Mockery.
Oh, Master, I love you, but I hate all you stand for. But I think we should go press our slimy, mucus-covered lips together in the cargo hold.
Conclusion. Such pheromone-driven human responses never cease to decrease the charge in my capacitors, and make me wish I could press a blaster pistol to my behavior core and pull the trigger. I am pleased that this does not seem to be the case with your current entourage. Statement. Yes, well, enough of that painful stroll through what remains of my memories. Was there something else you wish to know? Statement. Master, before you go, I had a question for you. Query. I must express some degree of confusion concerning your actions. You are the one who followed Revan in the Mandalorian Wars, are you not? Observation. Well, Master, I was not at Malachor 5 during your near-genocidal reaction to the Mandalorian threat, but I feel that I may have been constructed as a result of that. Observation. I believe that Revan determined that mass slaughter on such a scale may no longer be needed to achieve his aims. So perhaps you are responsible for my creation. Answer. Oh, please, Master. Even as a metaphor, that idea is repugnant. You are a gland-driven meatbag, while I am of superior droid construction. Clarification. I meant that I was built as a result of the need for a selective killing machine, rather than a crude mass slaughter war droid. Answer. No, Master. I was constructed shortly after the beginning of the Jedi Civil War. Answer. Oh, Master, please use your imagination. I am an illegally constructed assassination droid designed to masquerade as a protocol droid until I reach my target. Clarification. Well, yes, perhaps concerning the somewhat dubious morality of the Republic's Senate, that would leave some doubt as to my allegiance. Answer. Very well. Yes, I served on Revan's side during the Jedi Civil War, just as you did against the Mandalorians. Answer. Well, Master, unless you were operating on my central control cluster, I would be somewhat hesitant to discuss my targets, but I suppose it could do no harm. During the Jedi Civil War, I was responsible for certain strategic targets. For some reason, Revan did not feel that the Republic presented much of a military threat. Aside, I am somewhat unclear as to why this was so, but Revan did have a certain biological instinct regarding such things, so I will simply say that there were probably reasons for such an assessment. Answer. Revan felt the true war was against the Jedi. Observation. It was not something discussed with much of the others, but I think Revan recognized that a single Jedi, both in the past and in the present, could turn the tide of a conflict. So my targets were frequently Jedi, or someone close to a Jedi that could result in their corruption or collapse. Revan often assigned me to kill leaders or supporters of certain Jedi so as to erode their will. Answer. Revan saw the pressures of war on Dantooine and knew that even in the heat of conflict, Jedi could be broken, not physically, but psychologically. Observation. It is a curious thing to assassinate and wound someone's personality, to assassinate them psychologically, and it took me some time to reconcile the acts. I am much more used to their direct approach. Still, I served well and killed many Jedi. Answer. Yes, Master. It wasn't always easy, and I had to adapt quickly to rapidly changing battle conditions, and they would often sever my limbs and my head from my torso, which was an inconvenience. Answer. Oh, yes, Master. I hope none of them were friends of yours, but really, they had it coming. I do not know when the Jedi ceased to be adherents to their code, but many did not tread cautiously, and many were quite arrogant when facing a droid, as if we were somehow beneath them. It gave certain kills and added pleasure when being underestimated. Cautionary. Master, don't take this the wrong way, but in my opinion, a blaster shot to the throat is often the best way of silencing Jedi hypocrisy. I have found many Jedi to be arrogant practitioners of pacifism when it is convenient for them. Also, their tendency to never directly answer a question is rather annoying. Statement. I do not have the exact counts, Master. Since it is difficult to determine who was a Jedi and who was not, it seemed to be largely a matter of perspective. I did kill many soldiers who used techniques in combat that could make them be considered Jedi, although they call themselves Sith. Observation. Master, that was the lesson of Malachor. Any Jedi involved in the systematic slaughter on such a scale cannot help but doubt and question themselves. Observation. Master, I do not believe that the Mandalorians were the true target at Malachor. I believe that the intention was to destroy the Jedi, break their will, and make them loyal to Revan. I do not know if you examined the records of the deaths on Malachor, but you cannot escape that many of the Jedi and Republic soldiers who died were not Revan's strongest supporters. Observation. I believe that Revan was cleaning house at Malachor 5. What ones did not die became Revan's allies against the Republic. Query. Then why do you get to remain? Observation. It seems to me that you have killed many more Jedi than I could ever hope to achieve. This was formerly something that generated respect. Now I wonder from your tone if those deaths you caused were merely an accident. How disappointing. Retort. Master, the hypocrisy of you meatbags never fails to cause a surge in my behavior core. Not only have you no doubt ended the lives of many recently, but in light of the event at Malachor 5, you must recognize that death is necessary. Evaluation. Well, Master, that is your problem. Personally, I think you should seek help, but you seem to be the silent loner type, unwilling to admit such weaknesses to another. Answer. Oh, quite easily, Master. If you had not slaughtered the Mandalorians in Malachor 5, they would have destroyed you and everything you tried to protect. Now, once you accept that the Mandalorians had to die, then the next logical step is to determine exactly how many need to die to convince them to correct their need for conquest. And that, I am pleased to say, is where I come in. Statement. It is a fact that the targeted extermination of certain individuals will bring war to a close quickly and efficiently. Leaders unite, and when the leaders are removed, the unity they inspire erodes as well. You were a general in the Mandalorian Wars, Master. I have seen the records of your battles, and I know that your name was one the Mandalorians feared. It is not solely because of your skill in battle, but the fact that you could inspire others, convincing them to fight to the death in situations where other military leaders would be forced to retreat. Revan often speculated on your leadership in this regard. I believe my previous master had formed some other conclusions concerning you. Revan's apprentice wanted me to kill you when you left the war effort and did not go with them to the unknown regions, but Revan would not permit it. Speculation. I believe Revan wanted you to face the Jedi Council, Master, as if there was something that you would show them and possibly undermine their strength. Perhaps Revan wished the Council to see how far the Jedi had fallen. Knowing Revan, it was no doubt a strategic decision on many levels. Observation. Master, this is purely speculation, but there is a certain strength in parading defeated leaders before their people. Perhaps Revan felt that your return to the Council in your state would show them what Jedi were capable of, and the cost. Revan often referred to you as a Jedi who was already dead, and felt your reception by the Council would further show you their hypocrisy. Considering the Council's judgment, I see they did not receive your return well. Perhaps whatever anger they held for Revan, they held against you. Statement. Master, that again requires a somewhat complicated answer. Because this exchange is in danger of boring me, I will simply say no, and that I am glad I was never in service to Malak. Observation. Revan was a human capable of subtle, intelligent cruelties. He had a strategic mind, and he accepted losses and sacrifices. His meatbag apprentice was more like an angry club. He was also given to grandiose displays of brutality and murder that seemed inefficient, and in many cases, unnecessary. Statement. Yes, Master. I must confess, I enjoy it when you are so authoritative and dismissive toward me. It bodes well for your treatment of our enemies.
I have studied the holorecord of your trial. I am unsure what to make of it. I must confess that I was searching for some meaning beyond the records, a reason for why one would leave the Order. Yes, but exile is rare, and I have found it is not really something that the Order can enforce. Believe it or not, it was really your choice. I don't think so. Perhaps some of them felt strongly about your sentence, but I think something else concerned them again. The choice to turn away was yours, not theirs. You are correct. I am afraid I have not been entirely open with you concerning my past. If I look familiar, it is because we have met before, at the Enclave on Dantooine, many years ago. As on Coruscant, Force-sensitive children are taken to Dantooine as well, though it is done rarely and only with those they believe are destined to become Jedi Knights. It is the secret nature of the place. If you are not chosen by a master when you have come of age, however, then the path of the Jedi is denied to you. I met you on Dantooine, long ago, briefly. You taught us the ways of the Force, how to hear it sing within others, within the life around Dantooine. It is difficult to explain the difference between you and Master Vrook, but I think it is because he was knowledgeable, but not a leader, not a mentor. You were different. We could all feel it, and I knew that if I were to have a master, I would want it to be you. And then you went to war. Many Jedi went to war, and the Jedi Masters proclaimed that you were Jedi no longer. Atris, the mistress of the Archives, was first among them. I knew at that moment that if you would no longer be a Jedi, then you must be correct. I realized I did not want to be a Jedi. Instead, I wished to follow your path, and in any event, there was no one to train me even if I wished it. They all went to war as I grew past the age of acceptance. It is possible to forget the Force, you know. If you have not felt it strongly enough, then there is little to miss. But I never felt the Force as strongly as I did when I was with you. And so I decided to serve the Republic, study the Jedi teachings, gather them perhaps. It was important to me to understand the Jedi now that they were gone. I felt some part of you should be preserved, so that your lessons would not be lost. Perhaps. I still harbor doubts about the path I walked. Yes, is something wrong? At times, I meditate, simply close my eyes and listen. It is quite calming. I try to treasure these moments before the next crisis begins. Of course, it would be my pleasure. I try to treasure these moments before the next crisis begins. That is hardly surprising. What do you wish to know? Many Jedi went to go fight in the Mandalorian Wars, and few returned. To their disciples left behind on Dantooine, on Coruscant, there were few masters to train them. I was one such student. Perhaps not as strong in the Force as the others, but it really did not matter. The teachers left behind were few. Only a few students were accepted as the Mandalorian Wars raged on, and when I came of age, there were no masters left to train me. So I was forced to leave the Order, to seek my path elsewhere. It was for the best, I think. I had begun to have doubts, and I think the masters were aware of them. Never. I have seen you, traveled with you. My life was mine, not chained to yours. Your apologies are not needed or warranted. I chose not to follow the Jedi, and the choice was my own. I think you are right. It is time. I have watched you. You have become strong in the Force again. But that is not all. You have achieved a center in the chaos around us, and I have felt it. My master, the one intended for me, left to fight in the Mandalorian Wars. Now she has returned, and I ask her now if she will train me in the ways of the Force. The one who was to be my master was lost at Malachor 5.
So it ends.
I want you to teach me the ways of the Force, to become a Jedi Knight, what I meant to be. Yes? Is something wrong? That is hardly surprising. What do you wish to know? A Force bond? What do you mean? I'm not sure I understand. No. I thought I had heard mention of such connections in some of the holocrons, but I do not possess them. They are part of the holocrons that were taken from the Enclave. I do not know. I do not know who has taken them. If we were to find them, perhaps I could help you find the answers you need. I know some of what you speak. It is said that when a Jedi and Padawan establish a close connection, that they can feel each other across distances and coordinate their movements in battle. The intensity of the connection varies. That bonding is said to also be something that manifests itself in such techniques as Bastila's battle meditation, the ability to touch the minds of others, to demoralize or inspire them. It is also said that moments of death or near death may also cause such bonds. The stronger one is in the Force, the stronger the connection. Thoughts. Images, perhaps, but not actual communication and words. A bond often causes a sensation to be passed along it, such as extreme fear and pain. Still, I have seen Jedi who have the ability to communicate with aliens and beasts. It is a rare thing. Perhaps telepathy is one such talent. I've never heard of a bond being lethal. I suppose such a thing is possible. I had not truly believed Bastel as battle meditation until I had seen it in action. Of course, it would be my pleasure.
Meditation envy?
Why don't you go sit on a rocket?
Calm down. What is your problem?
I don't want to talk about it.
Alright, you know, Atten, sometimes it's no wonder you can't figure yourself out the way you lie to yourself all the time. I've hunted a lot of people in my line of work, but I never met someone who wants to get lost more than you do. I've got a pretty good idea why, but not the whole picture. I will, though. My advice? Come clean before I find out.
That guy, I don't trust him.
I do. I mean, he's alright, I guess. He's like someone who watches too many holovids. Or teaches them.
Yeah, you're right. He's boring.
Yeah, and that puts him a few ranks up the ladder from you.
What's that supposed to mean? I'm not boring.
No, you're more like a shifty lying idiot with a tendency to complain about every little thing and offer only small bits of helpful advice if pressured. He'd get beaten to death on Nar Shaddaa almost as soon as he landed, though.
Oh, that's good to hear. Thought I had some competition there.
Oh, well, it's not really a competition. I mean, you're kind of an idiot, Atten, and you don't shower enough, and you scratch your equipment when you think no one's looking. Don't take it too hard, though. That still makes you better than most people I've met on Nar Shaddaa.
Thanks.
And stop watching her. She's got enough problems. Yeah, something wrong? Shoot. Hanhar's only a bounty hunter because that's the closest word for what he does. He's not out for credits. It's more vicious than that. And it runs a lot deeper. It's like he's out to make the whole galaxy suffer. Every living thing in it. He wants to break them, ruin them. And when they can't suffer anymore, he wants them dead. I didn't kill him once. Biggest mistake ever. Do you really want to hear this? Well, Hanhar and me go way back, in the worst possible way. He's from some forest planet on the Outer Rim where Zerka had set up one of their slaving operations. I don't remember the name. Something with too many K's and Y's. It sounds like you're gargling Ronto spit when you say it. No idea. He's just Hanhar. I hope there aren't any more like him. I get the impression he's not a good representative of his people, though. He's the equivalent of a mad calf hound among Rontos. Some of Voga the Hett's men said Hanhar killed his own tribe, but those two crud thugs lie every time they open their mouths, so who knows? Well, not for long. Once off planet, Hanhar escaped from the Zerka slavers, then killed them all. I don't know. I always thought he just liked using them as weapons. Well, before you get too proud of him, Hanhar figured Zerka had the right idea. I don't think he understood the concept of slavery before, at least on the scale that Zerka practiced it. But now he did. You ever hear of Dursan 3, or the ID cluster colonies? Right, that's because Hanhar happened. He makes what happened to his homeworld look like an exercise in community building. He's not a bounty hunter. He's a slaver. A predator. It's like he's out to enslave or kill every human in the galaxy, like he's trying to settle some huge score or debt. I don't get it, but he's dangerous. Anyone who paid credits. And sometimes, he just hunted humans for sport. The ones who survived, he sold to the exchange, to the huts, to anyone who'd buy bodies. Living or dead. He and Voga used to do big credit transactions. That hut really liked the look of unwrinkled humans for some reason. Didn't make him too popular with the other huts, let me tell you. I was prey. And not only did I escape, but I saved his life while doing it. He's been hunting me ever since. I don't pretend to understand it, but among his people, they have these codes of honor. But somewhere along the line, Hanhar's got twisted. His people form these things called life debts. If you save the life of one of them, they pledge themselves to you. Well, with Hanhar, he can't escape that life debt. It's bred into him. But he hates every other living thing in the galaxy, so pledging himself to someone else, especially a human, was unbearable. So when I saved his life, it was the worst thing I could do. It was like slavery all over again. But it was in his head. It was like it pushed him over the edge. A life debt to Hanhar is a death sentence. He'll hunt you until you're dead. When I saved his life, it meant he had to kill me. And so he kept chasing me in hopes I would die. I think the fact I showed him mercy after hating humans for so long, that was something he couldn't stand. Yeah, tell me about it. Like I said, I get the impression a life debt's supposed to be a gift, but to Hanhar, it's more like a curse to both people involved. Probably. But if he had multiple life debts, especially to humans, Hanhar would probably go mad. He was angry before, sure, but he'd be 10 times worse if that happened. Hanhar's tough. Really tough. And when he loses it, it's like nothing can stop him. I've seen him shrug off blaster bolts, Bothan stunners, and even survive a freighter crash on Dursan 3. He keeps coming. Oh, I'm glad he's gone. It's like a weight off my shoulders. I don't have to keep watching my back every minute, wondering when he's going to show up. And he always did. It's like he always knew where I was. Trust me, if he was still alive, he'd be chasing us even now, waiting to ambush us when we least expect it. And he always shows up at the worst possible time. He was one of the best bounty hunters on Nar Shaddaa. Hanhar never gives up on his prey. Or his life debts. He's a hunter. He's a natural predator. Well, as happens on Nar Shaddaa, I made someone mad. Mad enough for them to send Hanhar after me. Turns out they were even able to get him cheap. He'd heard about me and wanted to hunt me down, for sport. He didn't think I'd be much of a challenge. Well, he tried to box me down in vents beneath the Nar Shaddaa docks, and he'd set one too many proximity mines to cover the escape routes. I think he'd hoped to drive me into the mines and then let them do the work. Or that I'd be too scared to try and walk through them. Thing is, I knew Hanhar's supplier, and the trigger signatures for the mines. It was pretty easy to broadcast a signal to blind their sensor receptors for a minute or two. I figured that would buy me enough time to move through them and get away. No, it isn't. I spent most of my childhood hauling mines and munitions. Got to know my way around them. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be here right now. Like I said, I disarmed the trigger fuses for enough of the mines to get by, temporarily. And Hanhar was pretty fast on my trail. I just made it to safety when he hit the first one. The blast leveled the entire ventilation section, and Hanhar was caught right in the middle, and he survived. Barely. He was crawling around, blinded from the flash and the plasma burns. And it happened so fast. All the blood had been scabbed and crusted from the flash. I had the drop on him, and even blind, he knew it. He could still hear me. My ears were ringing from the blast, but I could hear him. I think he was begging me to let him live. His voice, it wasn't a roar, more like an echo of it. I suppose I should have killed him, but I couldn't do it. He was in pain, he was helpless. So I dragged him out of there enough to get him to safety, and he kept hunting me ever since. He said he'd pursue me to the edge of the galaxy. No matter where I ran, he would find me and break me, that I would always be prey. Maybe. I've thought about that moment. A lot. Wondered if I would do things differently if I had another chance. Yeah, something wrong? Alright. Feels better to be back here, not cooped up on that ship. Well, Nar Shaddaa may be one of the biggest cesspits in the galaxy, but it's got a life to it. Activity. Aliens, people, refugees. It's like noise, but relaxing. Like the hum of a hyperdrive. Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far. I'll believe it when I see it. All right, prove it. You can show me now if you want. Alright, but I doubt you're gonna show me anything I don't already know. And when you show me, don't act like a tourist. It attracts predators. What's wrong? Why are you stopping? I've been by here hundreds of times. There's nothing special about it. No, I don't believe in the Force. It's Jedi tricks, sleight of hand. This I'd like to see. It's not gonna hurt, is it?
Feel the currents here on Nar Shaddaa, the ebb of life. A simple kindness can be given to another. This is the Force, and all our choices, from the greatest to the smallest, affect each other, and the echoes travel.
I can feel this planet. I can't shut it out. It's louder now, it hurts. All these people. But if I become a Jedi, I'll have to turn myself in for the credits. Are you gonna train me? I want to become like you. I want to be strong. I don't want to be afraid or alone anymore. I want to keep running and looking and never feel like I'm finding what I'm looking for. I am tired of being hunted. When the galaxy takes something from me, I want the power to let go. And I want the power to heal the echo when it's gone. That sounds all right from where I'm standing.
Nishasa achuto gonkura, tawinti malare. Dakaprota gocha, jarkomati sochban gocha, yotachi sabarinish. Koparodunga ninisindo shoka, mushka me turundi, juba me mesin, ratzakman rata. No, nananka talanichis okarana, yokchalisto chesache.
thoughts of me will slide from your vision, from your mind, like water. You know who I am, but you will be unable to voice it, to remember it. What does a Jedi see? Only what I allow them to see. Yes? Have you come with questions? Very well. What is it that drives you? Have you done as I asked? Very well. Then know this. How some situations play out depend on who is perceiving them and whether they are being perceived. Your ability to control the perception of others in such situations will allow you to manipulate events to resolve them peacefully or violently. Skill does not always draw from the Force, but it is a measure of power nonetheless. It can grant knowledge, help steady oneself when one's thoughts are in chaos, or grant enlightenment. Much can be achieved without the Force, as you know. Life continues, persists, and may be helped or harmed as a result. Now I am tired. Leave me to my meditations.
Query, is there someone that you need killed, Master? Statement. More questions. Wonderful. Request. First, Master, I would appreciate it if Jedi need to be killed, that you permit me to kill those annoying pseudo-pacifists for you. But if you are determined to do it yourself, then there are many techniques I would suggest. Recitation. First, weapon selection is critical. If I see one more idiot attacking a Jedi with a blaster pistol, then I'll kill them myself. Answer. Select grenades, sonic screamers, cluster rockets, and plasma charges. Mines are also effective, since many Jedi will run to meet you in hand-to-hand combat. Silly Jedi. Addendum. Gas attacks are effective if you can take the Jedi by surprise. Inhalation is less effective than ones that work on skin contact, as some Jedi seem to be able to hold their breath for long periods of time. Cautionary. Still, don't rely on it, since Jedi can fight off the effects. It just distracts them, leaving them open to another avenue of attack. Recitation. Do not forget to activate any energy shields you possess. Lightsabers, while powerful, have trouble penetrating most military-issue energy shields, provided they are energy shields and not those crude Mandalorian melee shields. Answer. Countering their other powers is more difficult. Confession. I do not fully understand their other abilities, but I do know that many of them require that the Jedi know that you are there and can see you. Thus, sniping and using cover are always advantageous. Evaluation. A technique that Revan used frequently was to attack a Jedi indirectly. This method only works if the Jedi is adhering to the self-destructive path of pacifism and sacrifice. Answer. Kill their allies or place them in jeopardy. Many Jedi will leave themselves exposed in order to protect another. That is why there are many less Jedi than there were a decade ago. Cautionary. Oh no, Master. In fact, that is the worst thing you can do. Explanation. Statistically, over-planning the assassination of a Jedi seems to backfire. extrapolation. There are many theorists who claim Jedi can see the future, and I do not know if that is true, but it seems impulsive acts are more common to succeed than planned incidents. Jedi, like sand kivers, seem to sense trouble a few seconds before it happens. They are tricky little pests. Answer. No, Master. In addition to traps, mines, and orbital bombardment, Revan and the Sith often employed meatbag assassins for some Jedi skilled in the same techniques that I was trained in. Strangely enough, Revan believed that meatbags that did not use or believe in the Force were especially important, since in many respects, they were more difficult for Jedi to detect. Revan had many of them trained to hide their minds, as it were. Again, once these techniques were learned, the percentage of living Jedi began to decrease accordingly. Answer. Generally, this was done by broadcasting strong emotions while thinking about something else. It was a curious technique, but it seemed to be effective in blinding Jedi. Whether guilt, lust, fear, they act as mental interference, making finding the true intentions of the broadcasting meatbag difficult. Answer. Obviously, a Force-sensitive broadcasting such emotions puts themselves at a risk of not using the Force properly, since to use it seems to require an inner calm that most meatbags do not possess. As much as the Jedi could not use such a technique, the Sith Lords cannot use it for much the same reasons. Such passions as guilt, lust, and fear are really strengths to the Sith code. Statement. The Master felt it was ironic that only people who had experienced such passions could harm Jedi in such a way that to kill Jedi, you had to be a human being. Revan found that quite amusing. Answer. The odds of me being forced to use such techniques against you has decreased, Master. There are some methods I could describe if you wish. Statement. Overwhelming odds is also a good tactic, Master. There are few Jedi that can long hold their ground against 100 attackers all firing at once, or being turned on by their own troops. But the most effective weapon against Jedi seems to be the erosion of the spirit. Answer. Revan claimed that psychological warfare against Jedi was important because much of their power comes from their state of mind, their connection to this religion called the Force. Revan said that many Jedi have the capability to form connections to life around them, although few of them realize the extent to which this is possible. Recollection. I believe my master speculated that many Jedi did not fully form such connections because of their discipline, because they never opened their lives to the passions around them. I believe Revan termed it that one would need to be a human being to develop such connections. It is something that the Jedi Code could not teach. One simply knew it instinctively or not. Observation. Master, I am somewhat surprised that I need to explain this to you at all, considering your past with Revan. Answer. Why, he said you had such capability, Master, but it would be your downfall. To tie so much of yourself into others, if they suffer or die, then you would die as well. Observation. I think Revan pitied you, Master. It was very insulting, if I may say so. Clarification. Whatever it is called, Master, it seems to be quite a vulnerability. Revan even admitted as such. When a Jedi or any soldier suffers doubt, it weakens them. With the Jedi, however, it is more pronounced, since they are extreme examples. That is why Revan felt that Malachor 5 was so important. It was intended to be a conversion tool. Assessment. When faced with a continuous series of hard-fought battles, I detected a significant statistical increase in Jedi following Revan over the Jedi Code, a compromise in principles brought about by battlefield conditions. The emotional weight of war changed Jedi morale, power, and eventually their allegiance. Conclusion. I believe the Mandalorian Wars were to beat the Mandalorians, and also to allow Revan to build the foundation of his army. But I am surprised you have not already arrived at this conclusion. Surely the loss of your troops and the Jedi who served under you at Malachor 5 had a detrimental effect upon you and your ties to the Force, and I suspect your desire to be around others ever again.
I wanted to say thanks for what you showed me on Nar Shaddaa. It's gonna take some time to let it sink in, but thanks. I feel alive. It's strange, but it feels right somehow, like a piece inside me just clicked into place.
Well, this is Onderon. Looks like there's a long line to get into the Isis starport.
Something feels wrong here. A great disturbance here in orbit, and again on the planets below.
I guess this blockade is a symptom of larger problems on Onderon.
If they decide to do a cargo search, we're gonna be in trouble.
Looks like we're about to find out. I'm receiving a message from some Colonel Tobin. Patching it through.
The Ebon Hawk. I was told to expect your arrival. I don't know your business on Onderon, but it ends here.
We've taken some hits. We can try to fight back, or I can outrun them and hide us on the jungle moon nearby. It's your call.